Kia ora everybody, and welcome back to the Good Day Matrix. My name is Daz, and today we had the absolute privilege of sitting down with Brodie Kane. She is one epic lady and loves a challenge. She was in the army for 4 years, she's a running enthusiast, and she's always on the lookout for her next trail run or challenge to do. In 2022, she was the runner-up for Dancing with the Stars. Brodie has been in the media for a really long time and now has Brodie Kane Media that has amazing podcasts like Kiwi Yarns, Out the Gate, and The Girls Uninterrupted. Brodie loves a yarn and she really loves connecting with people and telling their story. She's an absolutely genuine human, and we felt that from the minute that we arrived at her house today. She says things how it is, she doesn't shy away from a tough conversation, and she loves a laugh. All of those things I truly admire. Today we talked to her about appreciating those quality humans that are in our lives, being you in any environment that you're in, and finding the things that really bring you joy and fill your cup. So without further ado, let's spin a yarn and get into it. Kia ora Brodie, and thank you so much for having us at your whare today.
Welcome, and great for you guys to be here.
Yeah, and on what looks like a sunny day in Tamaki Makaurau, which doesn't happen all that often at the moment, so...
I bet you anything you like it'll rain today.
Yeah, it did on the motorway out, but we're going to say we brought the Hamilton weather with us, so you know it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. So talking about wellbeing, we're going to kick off with you starting life and your journey in Waikuku, and take us back to Waikuku and living near the beach, and how you've come from there and gone through lots of different sort of career changes to coming now to Auckland.
Have you got all day?
We do.
Well, actually, I don't talk that much about it for no particular reason, but the first 7 years growing up, I was actually in South New Brighton in Christchurch. That was also near the beach. But yeah, the big chunk of my upbringing was out at Waikuku Beach. For people that don't know, it's about a 35 minute drive north of Christchurch.
Yeah.
And it's like a small settlement. I feel like there's about 700 or 800 people, maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
And so we moved there, and it was quite different to being in town. Mm-hmm. A really small school. I'd gone from a school of about 400 or 500 to it was about 400 or 500. And there was 90 kids. And then I was the 91st kid, and I was like the reason that we got to keep one of the teachers. So it was quite a big deal. My arrival was quite a big deal. They asked me if I could come to school a month earlier to keep the teacher.
Wow.
Yeah. So went to Waikuku Primary School, and that was really, really cool. Great school, and we lived 3-4 minute walk from the beach.
Brilliant.
So we always grew up by the beach. Mum was heavily involved in surf lifesaving, and her parents and all their family, and even my dad was involved. So lots of surf lifesaving from a really young age, and just really active, a really active lifestyle. And Dad worked on the Inter-Islander, so he would go away for a week, come back a week, and do that. So that was where he was at. He was quite a good runner as well back in his day. And yeah, Mum was this epic endurance athlete. And so it's not that you didn't have a choice, but just everything around you was out and about and out in the fresh air. And, we did go to the beach all day, every day if it was nice, which I am grateful for, because I do that now. If the weather's nice, which it hasn't been for 300 years. But yeah, so it was a very happy, active, sporty lifestyle. I then went to Rangiora High School, which was a really, really great school. Had a ton of fun there. Had I guess maybe a year being a naughty kid. Not super naughty, but I did go to the illegal drag races and that quite a few times for a period of time where Mum thought I was at my mate Hayley's watching DVDs. But then I grew out of that. I was no, went back and sort of dived right back into surf lifesaving and competed quite intensely in my late teens. Moved up to Gisborne, trained under Corey Hutchings, won a few national titles, represented Canterbury. So it was all very, very cool, a cool sort of teen life. And then, went to university. But at the same time that I was going to university, I was like, oh, I'm going to join the army, which was quite random, actually, to be honest. I literally went to like a week in the life of the army at Burnham military camp down in Christchurch for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
And it was everything that you kind of thought it was, like in the movies. And I remember that week as well. It had snowed in Christchurch, and it was so cold that the snow didn't melt. But I was like, we were 7th form, and we were like, woo! And like the army people were yelling at us like you think that they do. And it was like, this is great. And then at the end of it, they were like, oh, we think you should join the army. And I was like, oh, okay. And so, Mum and Dad came and picked me up, and they were like, how was that? I was like, great. So they want me to be an officer. And they were like, oh gosh, we just thought that was for a bit of fun. Anyway, so I did. So long story short, I did that. I went away to Waioru in January before uni, and did basic training before uni, and then was in the territorials for 4 years, and while I was at uni. And so I kind of I don't know, just always had a few things on the go from a young age, really.
Yeah.
That's quite a long-winded answer, wasn't it?
It's really nice, though, because lots of people tell you to pick a path and do it well. And it's really nice just to see role models or just other humans that do lots of cool things and enjoy all those different lanes. Because there's so much you can pick up in each of those different lanes and do. So I think that's really cool, because a lot of the times the advice we get given is, no, you need to make a decision of what you're going to do, and you need to stay the path, and life's boring.
Yeah, no, I think that, well, watching my mum and all the different things she's done, I feel like, that was sort of always something that I looked towards. And I feel like, you would get bored if that was what you did, unless you, like, full credit if you find something that you love early on and you want to stick with that. But I also really want to, like, encourage people that there's never a good or bad time or a wrong time to pivot, use the COVID buzzword, but really like or change a career or move cities or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, agree. I so agree. Tell us about your village. So there's a lot of people who have your back, and we've just watched your birthday week not so long ago, and you've got a lot of people who love you, including your social media people. So talk to us about some of the people who have your back and how they sort of shape you as who you are.
Well, I think that it's really important to have people around you that, I guess, like, you've got a set of people that can be honest with you. You can be like, hey, I need some constructive feedback. Particularly in the past few years, sort of being out on my own, you can kind of get a bit drunk on your own Kool-Aid, because you're really passionate about what you're doing and all of that, but you do actually need people to go, hey, have you thought about this? Or you could do this that way, or that kind of thing. So I've got like a sort of a close group of friends that I jokingly call the Brains Trust, who, if I need to like burst into tears, or I need to be like, oh, can you help me with this? Because it's something technical, or so a really good group of friends that I sort of lean on for that kind of stuff. And obviously, of course, my family's pretty amazing. Like, we have all, we're all really supportive of each other, and we've learnt that from like mum and dad coming to absolutely everything, like being there for absolutely everything that we did, and still now, like, you know, coming to the various things that I do. So yeah, it's really, I certainly don't take it for granted, because I think it actually is, you can certainly get a bit, like I think I said last week, you know, I had a wonderful birthday dinner, and I thought, I'm so lucky to have these people in my world, because sometimes you're just flying through life from one job to the next, and you know, it's actually those people that are what matter. Actually, it's your people that are so important. So I'm really, really grateful that there's a lot of wonderful humans in my life.
It's nice too, because like you said, we sort of, you fast forward and you're like, there's work here or there's this here, and you sort of, you assume they're still there in the background somewhere on, having your back, but actually acknowledging them. Often we forget, because we are, I hate the word hustle, but you're in the hustle and you're trying to in the grind, and you're picking up work where you can, and you're doing all these different really awesome things, and sometimes not, sometimes it's just your day-to-day, just 9 to 5 job, but it's still tiring, and we just forget to acknowledge those people who really do lift us up and give us that fuel to be like, you're fucking awesome.
And we're all so busy, and we are, and it's like you kind of thought we might have learnt from those slower weeks in that, well, in the first lockdown, but like we are always so busy, and it's sort of more about taking the time to cherish those moments with people, because nothing actually fills your cup more than being around the people that you love, and it doesn't even, you go, like at the moment I've just finished probably like, I feel like about 6 stupidly busy weeks, and then you which is great, but after that you kind of hit a bit of a low, so like anything, like a build up to an event or anything, that when it sort of stops and you know that that's coming, you still do feel a bit flat, and it's like, you're like, see what my mates are doing this weekend, because you need a bit of that, and you're like, it shouldn't always be about that either, but that's when you're really lucky, when it's like, hey, does anyone want to just blob out and get some takeaways and watch a movie, and I like seeing so that was actually one of the things I was really like moving back up here from Christchurch this last time, was because I've got lots of wonderful friends in Christchurch, but most of them are in couples and have kids or married and that, and so you can't be as spontaneous, like they still give you great friendship, but your mate with 2 kids come like, do you want to get pissed on a Thursday night, or you got to plan those things
in 5 weeks.
Yes, let me check the diary. So it's been nice to be up here with all my single friends.
And rage out in Auckland.
Now
I sound creepy when I say this, but I've followed you for a long time now. It sounds awful when you say it, but I do it because you are unapologetically, authentically you, and it was really nice. People asked me, getting excited that we were talking to you, going, I hope she's the same in real life as she is on her social, and she is, FYI. But how is that something that's come natural to you, to just be like, this is me, like it or lump it, I'm here? Or is that something that you've worked on over time to just live as you?
No, I don't think I've worked on it. I don't think I could be any other way. Like I don't know. Like, I mean, I can be serious when I need to be serious, obviously, and parts, probably more so the earlier parts of my journalism career, I was far more serious in terms of my role, but ultimately now there's lots of things that I do where I don't have to be that way, and so I guess people do see more of me, because a lot of the jobs that I do, that's what people want me to, you're not having to, it's like, hey, we'd like you to MC this, be you, because that's what we want you to do. So you actually get to, I guess my personality and who I am is part of my brand. So I'm probably quite lucky that actually I can just be me. So it doesn't, it's almost, if you ask me to sort of be another way, it probably would be quite weird, and I think that having gone from working in like the media, and there are certain rules and guidelines and stuff like that, but now like all of that's sort of blown out the window with social media. But I feel like we, if you've got a space that people are watching or accessing your kind of content, I try, and it's tricky, but I try and navigate being positive and happy and making people smile and making people laugh. But if I need to talk about something seriously, I'm going to use that opportunity to do that, and use my experience as a journalist and someone who's worked in the media to actually take that role quite seriously if I need to. So I feel very lucky that I can just be me.
And being someone who is high profile, because no one likes being called that, but you are, you're high profile, and you've
fine.
got it must be hard. I've got a 2-part question here. So like staying loyal to yourself in those situations and sort of being like, this is who I am, like a lump, it's me, but also being able to choose the battles that you put yourself in to fight, because there are those fun creatures that come out of the woodwork who want to disagree with everything or have a different opinion, and I can't imagine that's easy to navigate all the time. Like sometimes you'll be like, they're just being idiots, and others or uninformed, or but other times there's some things that get said that different people share things that are said, and it's flippin' awful. So how do you choose the battles that you pick to sort of go forward with and be like, no, actually this is serious, we need to talk?
Well, ultimately I feel like I have become way better than I was probably in my 20s and working on television, when people would just say mean things about you and you'd take it to heart. And now I don't follow any news sections of anything. Like for instance, like last year when Dancing with the Stars was on, I didn't follow anything that would potentially post an article that would have comment section, because I'm like, there's no point. So I'm pretty good at having a filter of not seeking out people's shit behaviour.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm much better at that, and also I'm much better at caring less, because ultimately someone is sad enough to be sitting at home on their computer spouting off something as a fully grown adult, and ultimately that's on them, not me. And also, not everyone has to like me. Like the world will still spin if people can't stand the sight of me, my voice, whatever it is.
Yep.
That's actually okay.
Yeah.
I get it. I can't stand me sometimes. I'm too much for myself. So you have to remind yourself that it's like, well, yeah, you are. You're loud, you're this, you're that. That's not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Yep.
But I find it amazing whereby you're almost public property, so therefore people think it's okay to say that. Now say it at home, by all means, but I just find it fascinating that we've like, as they say, opinions are like assholes, everyone's got one. But social media has given everyone's asshole a place in the sun, you know what I mean?
Spotlight.
Yeah, but yeah, and so also picking my battles is things that I just draw the line, like people can be like, oh, I can't stand her, or who is that, or like you can literally write most of the comments, but things I won't tolerate when if I see it like on my pages or something is, I had something a few months ago where I was down at the Sale GP in Christchurch, Ototahi Christchurch, and I put Ototahi, and somehow on Facebook it launched some massive like racism, bloody all the horrible old white dudes just chiming in. I don't even know if any of them followed me, but that pissed me off, because I was like, hang on a minute, look at the state of all of you, offended and angry in your day by a Māori word, like, and so things like that riles me up, and I will fight, and I will pick a battle where I believe that somehow I can, like, me standing up and me calling out will remind people what I stand for, but also that I'm not afraid to piss a few people off, to try and in any way make change for the greater good.
Yep.
So that's sort of where I go, okay, is this the hill? Yep, you're going in, you know.
We're taking our flag to the top of this hill. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I will decide if it's something worthy to fight for. People being annoyed by me or just my very existence, I can live with that, because I'm like, how unfortunate that I've annoyed you enough for you to comment on and ruin your day. But anyway, things that I think I need to, draw a line in the sand and make it known what I stand for. And like, even, was it last year? Yeah, speaking about things like abortion rights. And you go, okay, are you going to be your soul? Yes, you are. Because the reason you're going to do that is because A, you're privileged enough that you can use your voice, and I don't ever want to take that for granted. And if it helps one person, then you've got to do it. So those are the sort of questions I ask myself when I'm like, are we going in? We're going in.
Are we doing this, Brodie? We're going.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the book The Courage to Be Disliked?
No.
It's an interesting one. It's a philosopher talking to a student, and it's really interesting. But one of the parts that you might find really interesting, and it sounds like you're speaking the words of the book, to be honest, is whose task is this? So if your boss comes to work angry that day, is it my task? Is it my task to worry about sorting him out and making him better, or is it his task to realise that's his situation and he needs to sort it out? And so that, if someone's got an issue with you, is it yours or is it mine, kind of thing? And just by doing that, it gives you this real awareness, like, actually, I have no control over that person, and it's not mine to worry. I could worry about it. I could spend a week worrying about, like, what did I do wrong? How could I have done that differently? But where's the energy better spent? Not there, and not on that person.
I think I totally agree with that, and I think that the only thing I would say is making sure you're really self-aware. So I always have a good test whereby if more than one thing or one person is pissing me off, chances are it's me. So like if there's a greater number of something than you, like if you're just the one on your own, it probably is you.
It's the alligator.
So that's what always keeps me in check as well. Like if everything's annoying me, I'm like, it's you, dogs. It's absolutely you. You're in the funk this week.
Your task,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Priceless. Now, with your running journey, I was saying before, I envy that you can just go out for a 9K run and be like, I just went for a small run today. So I think that's massive. So do you have any like mantras or things you do or treats you look forward to at the end of these ginormous runs that you do to get yourself through those kinds of long distance events?
Oh, I just think I'm in a really, really wonderful place with my running at the moment, and more so because what I love when I reflect back on the past few years, probably what am I now, 37? I think I was 32 when I ran my first marathon. Is how my sort of running life has evolved. So it was like, first it was like, I have to run a marathon. Then I sort of did these marathons and I was like, okay, you don't just have to run marathons because they're really hard, and running on the road is really hard, and it's quite lonely, and even, anyway. So I feel like now my running life revolves around like the people I do it with and the adventures along the way. So it's a far more like, it's not just like, oh, I need to run this fast or this far. It's like, well, I've got a very few long runs coming up, but it's more about like plotting out the missions along the way. So, this weekend I'm like, oh, I've run on the road quite a few weeks in a row, right? What are we going to do? We're going to go out to Riverhead, or are we going to go run up Rangitoto this weekend? Or, like it's sort of, it's actually part of your life. So that's sort of where I'm at with it at the moment, is that it also gives me so much, like, it is my place where, well, for starters, as funny as ridiculous as I'm aware that this is going to sound, it is kind of my space to slow down, even though I'm running. But it's my, like, it's almost like my therapy. It's my brain. Sometimes the brain's overloading, but it's sort of like my calm space. Like I've just got the music blasting, and I don't have to talk either, because I have to talk a lot. And I can just sort of like, sort of transport myself away. So it feels really good for me. So I'm sort of in a real good spot with it. You're not always, but at the moment, it just gives so much back to me as well.
And it's nice to hear that you actually enjoy doing it, because often we like go, Brodie's a runner, so maybe I should start running. But if you hate running and it's a battle every single time, that's not the thing for you. But often we kind of go, she's doing it, I should do it. And she says it's great for her, but it's more so finding that thing that works for you. And it's really hard to find that thing that works for you. And then as adults, as grown-ups, it's actually hard to try new things as well, and actually be like, I'm going to take up social netball next week or whatever. So do you have any advice for someone, A, looking at any of the things that you do for how they could start into them, or B, just trying something new in general? What's some advice that you'd give them to just give things a nudge?
Well, first of all, I didn't make this saying up, but it's a great one. Comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're looking at I mean, we all do it. Like, I'm always like, wow, look at that person, you know, like, wow, look at, you know, but to be honest, I don't want to run. Like, when I look at all those fast marathon runners, I'm actually not jealous. I'm like, good for you. That's great. Good for you. But yeah, comparison is the thief of joy. So don't always like think, oh, she's doing this, I should be doing that, because that's not a good enough why. So you have to find your why. And so it doesn't have to be like some monumental like goal. It just can be, I've had kids and I need an hour every second day where I'm not looking at them. So I'm going to get out of the house. And what does that look like? Is it a walk? And that's your why, because it's like, you are still you.
Yep.
You're not defined by your kids, but most of the time you probably feel like they've completely taken over your life. So like, what can you do for you? And so ultimately it's, you know, and people think that sounds selfish, but I often think the word selfish is used in like far too many negative connotations. You have to actually be a bit selfish in order to be the best version of yourself, and then the best version of yourself is the best version for other people. So it is actually important. So, and it isn't always running. I don't think I ever have been super preachy that everyone should get out there and run, but ultimately I think pressures, people go, oh, well, everyone seems, and it does seem to be quite popular at the moment, running, but it, you know, and people will message me and say, I want to start running. What, you know, what's any tips and tricks and stuff? And I always am like, well, I'm not a running coach, so I'm not going to sort of tell you exactly what to do, but start anything really slow, you know, like we think, oh, well, I'll start running. Well, I'll go out. People haven't run for years, and then they go out and think they need to run 5Ks. They hate it because 5Ks is hard. Yep. They can't walk the next day, and they're like, stuff that. Yep. So it's like starting something and just like looking after yourself and figuring out, you know, whether that might be the thing. There's so many sort of things out there, but in saying that you don't like something, that also might be you teetering into being outside of your comfort zone, and I think that's really super important to try that. So sometimes I think people might think, oh, that's really hard, or oh, I'm a bit intimidated by that. Just push yourself a bit to figure that out, because being outside of your comfort zone is actually a really good thing. You don't want to be out there all the time, but it's
tiring. Yeah.
But I think that it is really, really important. So be patient, but be kind with yourself. And what I do is I have to put in my diary, and I like doing that. I like block out time, which is for exercise, because then it's a non-negotiable. It's like, no, I'm not free at that time. Like I'm busy, but that's my time. And I know that probably looks different for a lot of people, but if you can do that, like, and even just start and, you know, be like, oh, just 1 or 2 a week or something, and then you realize how good it is for you and those around you, that whatever it is. But it's your why will never be because everyone else is doing it. Your why has to be within you.
Beautiful.
Gosh, that was very Tony Robbins, wasn't it?
I love it. Should have had some. There's a guy called Robin Sharma. He wrote like the monk who sold his Ferrari and stuff, but he did one recently called the Everyday Hero Manifesto. Oh yeah. And he says you wouldn't break a promise to anybody else, so why would you do it to yourself? And I love that you're calendaring those things in, and it's becomes a non-negotiable. It's not that I'd like to go for a run or I'd like to go catch up with my friends. Like I know I need it, and that's a non-negotiable. If I say I'm getting up at 5 so I can fit in a run, then get up at 5 and don't go, I'm too tired, you know, snooze, and then blame it on someone else. Like, keep the promise. Yeah, it's very, very cool.
But if you do sleep in, like,
I did it this morning, so I'm honestly, no judgment.
Sleep is one of the great pillars. So don't be, do it, but forgive yourself if you know.
Now, owning your own business is huge. And it's exciting and overwhelming and everything in between. And I imagine that time becomes quite a challenge for you to both keep all the projects humming and buzzing and keep yourself thriving at the same time. So other than sort of calendaring in those runs, are there any other strategies you have as a business owner and just as a busy wahine who's out there smashing life, doing all these things that you put in place to keep all the balls in the air and not feel overwhelmed? all the time?
Wow. Yeah, sometimes. No, it's a funny one because I'm a really competitive person within myself.
Yep.
And I set myself high standards, and I know that I'm really hard on myself. And I think all of those things have probably increased since going out on your own, because the beauty is you are the architect of your own success.
Yep.
But that is also that is what keeps you up at night, and that is what stresses you out, is that you are the architect of your own success. So it is you.
Yep.
And you're so on the, again, like I think I said, on the highs, you're like, yes, this is going so well, good. Then on the lows or the quiet patches, you're like, what I should be doing more. What should I be doing today? I've got a quiet day. Should I reach out to some brands, or what should I be doing? So it is quite challenging. I mean, I'm only in the third year of working for myself, and I know that there's lots that I need to learn, and there's lots that I want to learn as well, and that probably sits more on the actual business side of stuff. Like, I should probably talk to someone about finances and probably being a bit more savvy in selling myself. That sounds terrible, but like selling the things. But these are all things that can be learned, and I also have to remind myself, you go, I sort of set myself things that I'd like to achieve within a year, but ultimately there's a good chunk of them that don't necessarily happen because you've been so busy doing other things and other opportunities that have popped up. And that's also the beauty of it, though, is you go, well, actually, I was going to do this year, but then this other massive opportunity came up and I took it, and that was amazing. And then that sort of, made things change for the better in another way. Yep. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be in, being your own boss. It comes with far more emotions, but ultimately I wouldn't have it any other way. Like it is just so great to be able to figure out all the different things that you want to do, and you never know what's going to arrive in your inbox from week to week, and so it is really cool.
That's awesome. Brené Brown's got a book called The Atlas of the Heart, and it talks about, I think it's like 90 emotions, because you normally talk about, you're like, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm overwhelmed, you've got your key ones, but I learned there's one called foreboding joy, and so it's like something good happens and then you wait for a hammer to drop of the bad, and I was like, I have foreboded joy for like 37 years of my 38 years, and so it was a good realization, that you don't have to wait for the bad thing to happen, or like what's wrong, nothing's wrong, just enjoy the good, and don't sort of brace yourself for an impact of bad. There's heaps of other really interesting ones.
She's a smart one, that Brené Brown, isn't
she? Big fan of me, old Brené.
Yeah.
I don't know. Brené, one day we'll be friends. I talk about her enough. All right, we'll move into some quick fires. If you could have dinner with any three people in the world, alive or past, who would they be?
Okay, so Sir David Attenborough would absolutely, oh my God, I love him so much. Barack Obama would be one. And then I just have to throw someone in the mix like Adele. Yeah. Because I feel like, sometimes it's Adele, but then I'm like, is it Harry Styles? But I have to have a woman in there. So those are the three right now that I would, if we were throwing it together tonight, I think that would be an amazing dinner. Yeah.
That would be, I'll come be the butler or something.
Because then Adele would be like, oh my God, why aren't we best friends? And then we would be, and then it would be cool. And then that would lead to like other cool friends for the future dinners.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Mm-hmm. And like carpool karaoke's and situations, What's your favourite smell?
Favourite smell? Well, okay, I'll give you two. Like hot chips and a really nice smelling man. Yeah. I don't have the scent, but because I don't know what men's scents are, because I'm not like, hey, you smell nice, what's your scent?
Tell me it.
But just a good smelling man.
Nice.
Is that creepy?
No, that is gold. Believe it or not, we've had an interviewee who told us that he liked his own musk smell. It just came out wrong and funny. Will Hall, we love you. So funny. What song is currently on repeat on your playlist?
Oh. Okay, actually, the song that probably is being played the most right now is Dimension, the DJ, and his song, it's just come out, DJ Turn It Up. It's a real fast cadence for my last run up the hill. Like it's so that when I do my loop, the last like 500 meters is up a bit of a hill. Yeah. So I always put that on, and it's like up the hill. Yeah. So that's probably the most at the moment.
This is totally not quick fire, but do you curate a playlist for your run so that you can time it to have those kind of songs come in for the big moments?
Well, the playlist that I have for running is my own playlist called the Run Finisher, which was originally supposed to be like just an hour for the last hour of a marathon, but now it's like 3 hours, 4 hours, and it's the only one I listen to. Pretty much all my running music is of that caliber, of that cadence. So I just usually put it on and just go. But that particular song to get me up the hill.
Nice. What are your 3 favourite books?
Okay, so in full, open, honest disclosure, I've been crap at reading books for quite some time now. But one that I did recently read and really enjoyed and very intense was I Am Pilgrim. Yeah. Really good book. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Mark Manson. Mm-hmm.
I have read that and that was really good. And do you know what? I'm just going to go throwback and just chuck out a couple of childhood ones like The Hungry Caterpillar, The Great White Man-Eating Shark. They were absolute bangers as a kid. And that I still hold, and Where the Wild Things Are. Yes. But a goal of mine is to get back into reading some books, because I don't do enough of it. And when I do it, you feel so much better than sitting on your bloody phone. You've kind of semi-embarrassed me enough to get back into it.
There you go, now we'll watch. You'll be like, book 1. Book 1 of 2023.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'd read I Am Pilgrim this year, so I have read book this year.
Book 2, so we'll see book 2 soon. Book 2. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
It's kind of the 2 little bits, but one is not everyone has to like you. Yep. And I've just had brain fade. Yeah. One is not everyone has to like you. And the second bit kind of is probably morphed multiple pockets of advice. But the more you can spend giving less energy to what people think of you that don't matter, the better your life will be. When you're growing up as a young woman, society will exhaust you with all the things that you think you should do. People will come and go throughout your life, but ultimately the people that matter are the people that you trust and that care for you and are your number one support. Any other noise, don't worry about it.
I love that. What or where is your favourite hidden gem in Aotearoa?
Well, I guess my favourite hidden gem would be Waikuku Beach because it's a cross between a nice looking and rugged beach, which are kind of my favourites. You know, it can be wild, but it can be beautiful, and it's still not too many people go there. Yep. Like on a busy day, you're like, where did all these people come from? And it might be like 300 people. But we always go down further away from the people. Like we've got another little spot. And even then, when there's like 10 people at that spot, you're like, where did you all come from? How do you know about this spot? But yeah, I would say Waikuku Beach. Nice. Just because I go there and yeah, you can actually go there and there's no one there on the beach. And just whenever I'm on a beach, I just feel, it doesn't matter what the weather's doing, it just is perfect. So Waikuku Beach.
Beautiful. And what are some qualities you love about yourself?
What do I love about myself? Well, I think that that's quite funny, isn't it? That's quite what do I love? What qualities? I think that I'm a loyal friend. I care about people. I like to bring joy to other people. And I sometimes think I'm a little bit funny.
Not at all. She's one of the most serious people I've ever
I sometimes think I can make people laugh and feel good. And I do like that I can run really far.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that quality. Was that a quality or was that a skill? I don't know.
You can call it
But yeah, I think being a loyal friend, hoping that I can fill people's cups when I'm around them, and being a little bit funny.
Epic. And I'm glad you are. That's why I just sit there silently, because often people are like, surely you're not going to make me answer this.
No,
we'll sit in the discomfort.
Yeah.
I've got one more for you. So we've got some wellbeing cards, and they're all just about having them in the workplace or at home, and they just start conversations. So you can pick any card you like. No pressure.
What one thing have you not done that you really want to do? Oh, what one thing have you not done that you really want to do? I would love to go to base camp of Mount Everest and help. No, I actually used to want to do this, but now that you see that there's all the tourists ruining it, maybe I won't do that. But I always wanted to go to base camp and help with, like, you know how they do all the big cleanup and stuff like that, and explore that. But now that everyone's going there and being dicks, maybe not that. What's the one thing? I would love to go to Uganda and see the gorillas.
Cool.
That's quite random, but that's
not
I would
random.
love to do that.
Yeah. Done. It's out there.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see if the universe brings it into fruition.
The other one thing that I've not done that I really want to do is win lotto, because that's my only financial strategy at this point, and that would be quite nice.
There you go. So we'll use hope as a strategy for that one and see how we go. Well, thank you so much for having us here at your home. This has been epic, and I can't wait to share your interview with everyone. I think there's such great advice for young women and just humans in general about how to live authentically you, and to block out the noise and choose what you put your energy into and where you focus. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me on the couch, on my couch.
And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Ka kite.